my brother up from me, he had a guitar above his bed at all times, and the rule was you never touch my guitar. He was gone for a little bit longer, I think it was a week or two, and by the time he come back, I said, I just want to show you something, and I learned my first song on guitar. What drew me to DJing was the fact that, you know, the old school heads were playing like 9-10 hour sets, and you really get to see their whole musical taste within that time. I was so obsessed with music that I let it ruin my education. I never actually finished. I love the craft too much to loosen what I'm doing in order to fit in with it.
What exactly about your mental health do you think you need to sing and rap? Is that your way of expression?
100%. Everyone will have that moment in life, and if it doesn't happen for you, then it wasn't meant to happen for you for a different reason.
So what does success in music, in just your creative sector look like for you?
More things.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm about to give you the definition of diversification. This is a gentleman that has been a DJ, a producer. He raps and he sings. By way of Mauritius and of course now making London his home, I am bringing you the rap icon who has actually gone from grime and has now blended his music with all sorts of art form. Ladies and gentlemen, I give you the man that's going to be performing June 26th on the Korak Live Music events, the one, the only, N8 Radderz.
Yeah. Oh, what an introduction, man.
I like it. Thank you for coming on the show, sir. Thank you for coming on the show.
Thanks for having me. Appreciate
Of course,
it.
anytime. Of course, production people, BK in the house.
We're in the house.
Of course, the one and only MC and your host, MC Sabi Boy.
More things.
Let's have a toast, man. Let's have a toast to all the great things coming up. More things. So, Nate, we like to start this podcast the usual way. And the usual way is understanding your journey so far. But before we actually embark on this journey, Korak means footsteps, and each footstep defines that journey. What is that first step you took to begin the journey?
I've been sort of indoctrinated into music for a very long time. I think when I was growing up, you know, like I'm from a big family. You know, we've traveled a lot around the world because my dad's job. He's very successul at it, which was amazing, but it meant we had to move a lot.
What did he do? He sounds like a missionary or soldier or something. All of this guy.
He's an electrical engineer. He works on like big skyscrapers. So like he's done football stadiums. He's rebuilt Sydney Opera House.
Hello, Daddy.
Yeah, no. So he's done well for himself. Obviously, amazing. It's great for him. I always say he's foolish because I'm one of 5. So, you know, if we had a couple less kids, man, we'd be living in luxury in a mansion. But
well, who knows? I'm sure you still live in a mansion now, though.
Nah, not anymore, man. I'm old now. I'm not in that house no more. So
yeah, 5 kids. So you're what position are you?
So I'm 4th in line. So
okay.
yeah, second youngest.
So by the time you came, the money was thinning up.
Yeah, exactly.
Cool.
But yeah, so we traveled a lot. So you know, we moved to Mauritius when I was about 3 or 4, and you know, I grew up there most of my childhood. Obviously, it being a French-speaking country, and I sort of had come with a little bit of French, but obviously I'm young, so I don't really know too much. I found it quite hard to sort of really get stuck in with the culture, and music was a huge part of it for me. I sort of discovered the different sounds of different cultures very early on, and my brother up from me, he had a guitar above his bed at all times, and the rule was you never touch my guitar. Even if I'm in the house, I'm not in the house, don't ever touch my guitar. I remember once he went on some beach camping trip for 3 days, and I was snuck into his room, and I thought, I'm gonna play that.
I'm gonna play this now.
Yeah. And he ended up being actually gone. We thought it was gonna be 3 days, but he was gone for a little bit longer. I think it was a week or 2. And by the time he come back, I said, I just want to show you something, and I learned my first song on guitar.
Oh, nice. So you were determined. So it's one of those forbidden fruit kind of stories where because he didn't let you touch it, he decided, you know, I'm going to learn this. So it's interesting when you talk about, you know, the indoctrination into music. So apart from Mauritius itself, your family and your brother having the guitar, your parents, were they into music, or the music always been playing in the house? What was the story like with the music situation?
My mum was a massive you know, funk, R&B, soul. She loved all of that. So we had, you know, disco music playing from as long as I can remember. But I think actually the most influence I've had is from that same brother with the guitar. I don't know why I'm not. His name's Charlie. So yeah, he sort of shown me everything. So, you know, he was the one that let me onto his iTunes, and that's, you know, where I discovered UK garage music and grime and everything, sort of like dance music, and I sort of fell in love with it straight away. And from there, I think it wasn't so much that I was like, I found my lane in music where I was like, oh, I want to be a guitarist, or I want to be a singer, or whatever it is. I just fell in love with music and got obsessed by it. And the same way now that, you know, people are like, oh, how many books have you read? I always say to people, how many albums have you listened to? I reckon even in the last sort of 5 years, I've probably listened to nearly over 4,000-5,000 albums.
My good God, that is your eardrum should be falling off right now. I can imagine.
Yeah, they're damaged. But
so, how do you? A lot of people when they're younger and the interest in music always comes from, you know, people rapping, people singing. You seem to be drawn to the background of everything that's, you know, what makes everything work, what makes everything click. Because you started off as a DJ and a producer. Yeah. So why do you think you are more interested in the background and the mechanics of making everything work as opposed to wanting to sing or rap immediately?
I think I fell in love with so many different forms of music. Like I loved, you know, rock music, and I loved jazz and hip hop, and I loved so many different types of genres. I felt that when I was starting, I was, you know, like trying to, maybe I should be a singer or a rapper, whatever it is. I found it really hard to pick what is it that I want to do? What lane is it that I want to follow down? So what drew me to DJing was the fact that, you know, the old school heads were playing like 9-10 hour sets, and you really get to see their whole musical taste within that time. And that's what I fell in love with, because, you know, they start off playing some form of dance music, house or drum and bass, whatever it might be. And, you know, by the end of the night, they're playing sort of, you know, Brazilian salsa or Latin or reggaeton or whatever it is. And you don't really realize how you've got there, but you love the journey of it. So I think that the journey of music is what I appreciated more. So I feel like DJing for me sort of felt more natural, because it meant that no matter what I wanted to do, I could, or whatever music I wanted to play, I could find an area or a little pocket to do that in. And the same with production. I got into production because I wanted to DJ, and I had songs that I wanted to play, but they didn't fit into whatever setting I wanted to play them in. So it just gave me an opportunity of like, oh, if I had some, you know, house drums to this random song from the 1940s, I can play that in my set and no one will even notice. So yeah, that's sort of what really drew me to it.
So you're pretty much self-taught with the guitar. What other instruments do you play?
Guitar, bass, drums, piano.
This guy is a one-man marching band. Just walking around with so much musical talent.
He's one of those people that
he's one of like you. No.
That my brother is the same. Like he just started to pick up everything. We both grew up in like musicians, and I always kind of like explain, because everyone's like, why didn't you become a musician? But I explain it like the Messi Ronaldo thing, where Ronaldo worked for what he's got, but Messi was like born talent. My brother, I grew up playing bass, love playing bass. My brother, every single instrument he touched, he just decided, okay, I'm going to be good at this. Yeah. And
so who's the Messi or the Ronaldo?
He's the Messi.
He's the
so Nathan is the Messi.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
You know what? I promise you now, I am the Ronaldo. I am the sort of person, and like, I keep bringing it back to my brother, but like, he is that guy that no matter what it is in life, he'll pick it up instantly.
And then boom.
Literally, cooking, whatever it is. Like, the man can do every trade in the world. But anything I do, even if the first time I kicked a football, awful, couldn't do it. Even now, you know, I'm nearly 30 now, and I still, if you want to add me to your Sunday league team, don't do it.
Don't worry, there are loads of people that have 3 left legs. Like, you know, you should be fine.
It's not for me.
So one of the things so did your French get better? And what were you like in terms of blending with the community other than music? What was your go-to? How was Nathan as a kid? What were the other things that distracted you?
I think it sounds, you know, very silly, but really it was music, man. There wasn't a whole lot else.
I mean, Mauritius is like, I like to, I mean, it's funny when you speak to people from Mauritius. Some people go, yeah, I'm African. Some people go, I'm not African. It's like, I always tease them, because, where Mauritius is on the map. It's like, it's just out there. So I'm always like, somebody drew the map and ran out of ink. And when somebody's doing that on the paper.
Yeah, exactly.
And it just pops up. So life in Mauritius, to you, the only thing that kept you going was music. I mean, you've just described yourself as the Ronaldo, which what that usually means is that you seem to work hard on stuff.
Yeah.
But I think Ronaldo is also as talented. It's just that the flair of his natural self doesn't come like, God, Messi looks effortless, that kind of story.
Yeah.
I mean, you picked up a guitar and in like a week or two, you could play it. Yeah. So I wouldn't say that's Ronaldo-ish. I would say that's more talent-wise. So when you started as a DJ producer, what did your parents say at the time? Were they pushing you towards music, or was it a situation where you grew up in a house where read your books, boy, and then music was just something that they realized you had the talent for?
I'm quite lucky. Like, my parents are super supportive. No matter what it's been, they're really supportive. Their thing is they want their children to be happy, and I'm a big advocate for that as well. So I've never been pushed into doing anything. I think, once I was at university, I really thought to myself, like, no, I need to push this now. This is my moment to make a name for myself. And I'd really started DJing, and it got to a point where I was doing 5-6 shows a week. I was doing festivals. I was getting flown out.
Was this all this in? So let's break this down. So how did you, in terms of, you established yourself in Mauritius, and then how did it all blow up to you being flown around the world? And did you come back to London first, or did the big name or the scale start in Mauritius?
No, I think, to be honest, Mauritius was more a part. It's a big thing for me that I talk about a lot, with my friends, because it's really what made me. And like, especially now, like I look back and I think that was a time where you really see how there's another way to live life. Like, the pace is so much slower. Everyone's so kind. Everyone knows each other. There's a real sense of community. We moved back to England, because my parents wanted to come back.
What year was this?
2006, something like that. So I was about 10 or 11 when I came back. And, then I've sort of come back. I've gone into high school. That, for me, was like a massive change.
Culture shock.
A massive culture shock. And, when people say to me now, are you British or are you Mauritian? What is it? I always say to people, I am British. That is who I am. But, I don't feel at home here. I don't feel like this is my land. I feel more other places in the world. I feel more at home in. So
I mean, that diversification is always good, and a lot of people actually struggle with I wouldn't say struggle, but a lot of people are in that identity situation that you have, where they are British, but you came back, as you said, when you were like 10, 11. Do you feel there's been a part of you that hasn't let yourself get accustomed to the culture here? Or is there a part of you that has just been missing being Mauritian or being in Mauritius? Because that's what a lot of the situations that it happens to people is they get back here, and because the culture shock is so, it hits them, they actually never let go and try to blend in as much. Do you feel you are one of them that happened to you? Because if you came back at 10, 11, usually, at some point you'd be like, you should blend. If you were a bit older, I understand. But do you think it's a case that you just, as you say, you've never felt at home? Yeah. You just felt it's like, I'm passing through.
Yeah, and I think that I didn't really find it that hard initially. I was quite excited, having sort of going back to what is supposed to be my home and coming back to this life. I felt like I really tried to integrate. I really got involved with the English culture and sports or whatever it might be that was going on in England. I tried to embed myself in that. I think really since I've sort of hit my mid-20s, I really started to realise maybe this isn't what I need. Or there's parts of English culture that I've started to not shy away from, but it's not my lane, and it's part of it. Makes me miss living abroad. But
what are the obvious ones?
First of all, is the weather, man. First of all, it's always got to be the weather.
I tell you what, even the English people cannot get used to that. It is a situation where I think it's just one of them things you have to accept and just understand that you have an unpredictable situation where You can literally leave your house with shades and a t-shirt, and by the time you go back home, you're in a jacket. So the weather is the weather is one of them things. What else? What else would you say?
I think community, man. There's community in England is I think a lot of people take it for granted. Like if you're in a really set community in your local area, that's beautiful. But in a lot of places, like I'm not saying it's like that all over the country, but there's
I think down south has a lot of what you're talking about. I think it might be. I grew up in Nigeria, and the whole community feel thing is. One of the things that I miss is the fact that my friend could live wherever, and we don't have to plan 3 months in advance to meet up for a drink, or I could just be at your home and just turn up. But it's different, fast-paced London, everybody trying to hustle.
Yeah.
So anyway, you came back 10, 11, culture shock, but I'm sure you had to improvise, adapt.
Yeah, definitely.
And when you started adapting, how did you get into music here when you got back?
So at school, I'd obviously had a firm belief. I love music. I want to be involved in whatever space it might be. And I did a lot for the school. So I was in every musical, every play, any assembly they wanted to do. I was involved in some degree with the music aspect of it, or audio, whatever it might be.
They were like, "Here comes Messi."
Yeah, well, and then I think I'd got into rock music by that point. So that was a massive thing during the sort of mid 2000s, late 2000s, was that whole blowing up of like British pop punk again, or like the indie sounds, that was huge, and I fell in love with that. So I was in a lot of bands doing that sort of thing. But actually I think where it really stemmed was I think music's going to be my life is I actually went to a youth group which is no longer there anymore, but it was basically to teach kids about radio and music, and so I actually had started out being a radio presenter, and whilst I was in those sessions, they only let the kids do radio presenting, and similar to the guitar setup, I'd seen some of the older lads, the 19, 20-year-olds in that setup, DJing, and I remember looking through the little window, being like, "Oh my goodness, what is it that they're doing? I need to get involved in that." And for about 4 or 5 months, I begged these guys, "Please show me how to do it. I'm like anything I have to do."
They kept telling you no.
They kept being like, "No, you're a kid, man. Go." I was only 14 maybe at this point, so they were like, "Oh no, you're a little kid, man. Go away. We're doing." And they just kept saying no and no and no, to the point where I pleaded with them, and one guy went, "You know what? You've been asking me for months on end. Come in. We'll just let you watch in the room." And
that is some resilience right there, man. How is it? You didn't, after 4 or 5 months, you didn't give up.
No.
I'm sure you haven't even chased any woman that long. Well,
but it's between me and my late. No. So you know what? It was one of those things that I almost felt like it was like a movie. You watch films and they're like, "Yeah, I had to do the training montage." That's what I literally felt like. I could not let this go. I was completely obsessed by it. And this was also around that time was sort of when YouTube blew up and became a thing. And I discovered people were doing mixes and watching people DJ, and I was just completely in awe of it, and I was obsessed. I was constantly playing music. I don't think my mum was that happy at that time, because it was literally just drum and bass and house music blaring through the house at all hours of the day.
I mean, it was probably keeping you away from trouble and off the streets and all them things. You pretty much had an obsession in this interest.
Yeah.
So finally they let you in the room.
Yeah.
And then how did that transition into you actually playing with those decks?
I think because the thing is, it's only this session was 3 hours once a week. So I think the first time they let me in, I literally stood in a corner, didn't say a single word, and just stared at them doing it for this probably was about 3-4 weeks of doing that, to the point where they all went, "Oh, we're going to go to the shop quickly, get a sandwich," or whatever it was. And they left me in the room, and I thought, this is the time. This is my moment. So I jumped on these decks. They were really old and dusty, it's a youth project. It's not anything. Yeah. There's not loads of money involved in that. After I pressed the first play button and I'd done the first mix, it wasn't good quality, but I was just
you were hooked.
I was hooked, and that was it. And to the point where them going on afterwards, they come back in, they see me doing it, And instead of, I was expecting a response as I turned around to be like,
what are you doing?
Why you get off that? And they were like, okay, all right, you are trying to do this, all right. And they actually were really sweet. You know, they taught me a few things. They used to let me in the room when they weren't there. And, you know, after sort of like maybe 6 months of doing it, man, I really found a flow. I was doing it live on air on the radio shows and stuff like that. So, I was completely obsessed, and like that obsession never went away.
Do you think that resilience that you have, and especially when you look at things today and everybody wanting everything now, wanting everything to happen, you know, right this second, do you think, how much, with mental health being so big, how much advice do you give to anybody younger than yourself, or anybody that's trying to get into, in terms of that resilient spirit? Because I don't really think it's something you can teach. No. But I think it's something that is embedded in you, and I think it comes from a time. But right now, short form content is the way forward, low attention span. Do you think you would have been able to handle it a bit more, even if they didn't let you go into it after 5 months? Do you think you would have continued that zeal down? Because you sound like that hunger is already still there, regardless. So what's the advice you give to the younger people that, you know, they just think, oh no, they don't want me in there, so I'm not going to do it?
Well, it's funny you say that, because actually after that I ended up being a youth worker at the same project.
Same place, yeah.
And that was something they used to ask me as well, is, you know, what is the message that you actually want to tell these kids? And I think it's something to do with that sort of personal gratification. You've got instant gratification, but what's your personal gratification? What is it that you've done that you're super proud of? And there's things like that you can't take away from yourself. Like, you know, that's that fight to do that. Even now, if I'm like, oh, well, I haven't been able to do this, I think to myself, well, you know, you've pushed enough to fall in love with something. And I think even like it gets said a lot in sports, but, you know, like obsession will beat talent every time, every single time. So? I believe it. If someone is completely obsessed by something to the point where they will submit their whole life to it, then that person is always going to get better, because it's also time spent. If I spend 10,000 hours learning how to be the best DJ in the world, and someone who is naturally gifted as a DJ, but they've only put in 100 hours, I'm telling you right now, I'll be the better DJ. I believe that.
I like it. So you broke that spirit. They let you in. You started playing with the deck 6 months later. How did the jet setting start?
I remember I'd asked my parents for some decks. Like once this has been happening, I was like, oh, that's all I want is just a set of my own decks. I want to throw my own parties. I want to be out there doing my thing. And for the longest time, it was not happening, because this was also at the time where, you know, now controllers are a massive thing. You know, they cost £150. People can learn to do it with, you know, sync buttons, and the computer does it all for you. Yeah. It costs, you know, nothing to do it. But back then it was, if you want a setup, it's going to cost you at least, you know, $3,000 minimum.
My God.
So that was like, to my parents, they were like, in what world do you think we've got £3,000 for you to be
playing on decks
a song that you haven't even made? So I was like, yeah, fair enough. I actually ended up getting...
but hold on. Daddy was loaded, though. What's wrong with that? Daddy was loaded.
Got 5 kids, money. He's got money for like that to be spunk. You know what I mean? So like, it was hard. And also, my parents are a big believer in, you know, if you want something, you work for it. Mm-hmm. Like, it was a joke of, you know, I've got money. I don't know about you. And
it wasn't a joke.
It's serious. Yeah, now I understand. Like, yeah, all right.
My parents were the same. Man, this is mine. You need to work for yours.
Yeah, and at the time, though, I feel, oh, come on, like you've got a nice car. But now I'm like, I see what it means, because I think I wouldn't have that same work ethic if it wasn't for him saying, no, you got to figure it out. Like, you imagine I'm not here. What are you gonna do? If that's really what you want, figure it out. And I ended up just getting loads of little side jobs. Whatever I could do to make money. I ended up buying a beat up pair of decks that I'd got off Gumtree for like a couple £100 that, you know, were like, I'm having to go on YouTube and Google and figure out how to like put it back together and solder it and fix everything, because I couldn't afford to get it fixed. And then as soon as I had that, I was just obsessed, man. Like that summer before I went to university, that's all I did. I didn't do anything else for, you know, 2.5 months. Every day, 8 hours.
You have friends, right?
Yeah,
No,
but
just check it. I mean, you
no,
seem like
I've got friends. But
everything was geared towards the music. What uni did you go to?
Birmingham.
But, oh, okay, that's cool. So, Birmingham.
Yeah, no, that was a culture shock in itself. But you know what? I felt more at home in Birmingham.
Really?
Yeah, you know what? Birmingham as a city gets a bad rap, but it's beautiful, man. There's so much nice.
I like Birmingham. I've enjoyed myself every time I've gone there. It's just that every time I'm out in Birmingham, I always feel like it's about to kick off. I don't know why. Wherever I go out in Birmingham, I'm always looking left and right. Like I just feel like, okay, it's about to go down. I don't know whether it's just my spider sense is going wild.
It is like that.
But it always seems like that. So in uni, what did you study?
So I studied journalism. I wanted to be a radio presenter. That was my goal. I thought, I get to DJ a little bit, but also I get to, be on the airwaves. And I thought, that's such a good job, man. Like, what do you do for work? Oh, well, I had to wake up at 6 a.m. this morning, but I just sat there spoken to a celebrity for an hour, and then I got to play all the songs I like. And I thought, I could think of way worse jobs than that. So I was obsessed with that, and I thought, that's what I want to do. When I got there, I think the reality of how university worked, I shot myself in the foot. I thought, I'm not ready for this.
In what way?
I think because obviously my hunger for other things had been so like prominent in my life that and I'd always done well in school. Like, people try and put on a facade like, I did well. Yeah. Like, I was a solid B+ student, done my job.
That's cool.
Everyone was happy, mums was happy, like school was happy, and but this was like really without having to spend hours and hours in libraries and learning that sort of stuff. University happened, and I'd realised that no, you need to really push yourself for that. And at that time, I was so obsessed with music that I almost, I let it ruin my education. I never actually finished. So
you didn't finish university?
No.
Why, at this point, were you being teased by gigs and every other thing you were doing with music?
That is the thing. I think when I got to university, I immediately, first week, I'd gone to every single person I could meet and said, I'm the DJ. Any house party you have, come hit me up. All the night, I went to every single nightclub in Birmingham within 10 miles where I lived and said, I will do anything. I just want to get on and play shows. And I got quite lucky. I'd made a few nice contacts that, were willing to give me my chance. And at the beginning, I was only doing 1 or 2 shows. And then sort of after 5-6 months at university, I was gigging 5-6 times a week. And big shows as well. I've played to Premier League footballers. I've played to, PMs. I've played to everything. I did really well for myself. And when I first started, because I'm a kid and I've only just begun, the money wasn't really there. And then slowly it started trickling in, and I thought,
did that change everything?
I think it changed my mentality.
In what way? Because obviously you started balling, hanging out with...
I wouldn't say balling, but...
Yeah. I mean, as a kid, in terms of... What were you, 19, 20 at the time?
Yeah. I'm 19 with some money in my
some money in your pocket, and you're doing what you love.
Yeah. And I thought, you know what? This is it now. I can see the vision, because always I'd thought, I hope one day this will happen. Mm-hmm. But it got to the point where I was like, oh no, this actually might happen now. So, I just thought to myself, I can either put all in with this, that I feel like it's going somewhere, or I can drop back a little bit, make sure I've got my education, and then hopefully those opportunities still pass in a couple of years or they come about. And I just was so assured of myself, no, this is my moment. I need to give it everything. That I did kind of let my guard down a little bit. So I dropped out after second year, and
How did that impact? How did the family feel about that?
They were not happy, to say the least. And it's, even though, to this day, it's still a regret I have. I wish I'd finished. I wish that I'd, been a bit more sensible. But I think at the time...
You can still do it, though.
Oh, yeah, of course. The opportunity's still there. But, it's one of those things that, it took a long time, actually, for me to process, I'm actually over this now. I can move on. I can move past it. It was always something that, that was you've let yourself down there. You should have done better. But yeah, I was DJing, so that made me happy, and that was the main thing.
So you made a name for yourself. Your things were going well. Was there a crash point?
Massively. And it's something that I'm very vocal about because I want to educate people about it. And it's sort of, you hear it from like top celebrities, but, you know, people that aren't, you know, headlining Wembley and stuff like that, you don't hear it from them. So it's something I try and talk to a lot of people about. But, you know, I was getting flown out to all these shows. I was playing in these massive super nightclubs to thousands of people. And in the back of every club, in the back of every party, there's always that room full of drugs, full of alcohol, full of stuff that is not a good influence. And, you know, like, I'm 19 at the time. I'm thinking, all right, is this how we're going to roll? Okay, that's fine. This is it. And I partied the same way that I played, which was, I'm going to go to the extremes. And, like, I was getting lucky. I had all these opportunities to go play abroad. So, like, I played in Iron Napa on the main strip. I played in, you know, in Holland. I played in America. I played in, like, South Africa. I played all over the world. That was such an amazing opportunity. But when I think back to it, there's only a handful of them times that I remember fully.
Whoa.
And I remember it sort of crescendoed. I'd got booked for my first headline gig in Holland with an agency that I was with. They were the ones getting me all these gigs. And I'd got to the show. They'd got me like 4 or 5 bottles of spirits. Be like, yeah, man, we're going to party. I was drinking it without mix or anything, just down in the bottles. They were like, oh, do you want, you know, weed or cocaine or whatever it might be? And I was like, yeah, of course, I'll have all of that. To the point where I was at this show, and I promise you now, it's my saddest moment. Now I can look back and think, that's funny, like I can move on from it. But I was literally a zombie up there. I had to have someone up there babysitting me. They're like making sure that the music sounds right. They're basically, I'm the puppet up there, and they're doing it for me. And I'm just standing there like waving my hands in the air. After that, the agency said, no, we can't be having you representing us like this. You know, we've put thousands into the marketing and the backing for this. We've flown you out. We spent loads of money, and this is how you're acting. I still had shows after that, like, don't get me wrong, but it definitely dumbed down. And I think that was sort of a moment I looked to myself and thought, why am I going to do this to myself? Like, I'm destroying this amazing opportunity. Thousands of people are going to wish they're in my position, and I've thrown it away because of something silly. And it was ego. It was complete ego. I just thought, I'm so good, I could DJ in my sleep. I can do whatever I need to do. So, yeah, I'm more selective with it now. I don't go crazy anymore. I'm very sensible.
Sometimes it comes with. Sometimes you need to get to that point where it hits you, then you realize this opportunity might actually slip from my hands.
Yeah.
But travel around the world, Holland and stuff. You're mixing with the celebs. Who's the most famous person you remember partying with?
Artful Dodger.
Oh, that's big.
Yeah, me and him had a massive show in Birmingham. I met DJ EZ. I opened for him at a show. I actually met him a couple of years later when I'd, got sober and was like still trying to make my name in DJing. I was like, oh mate, do you remember me? I met you ages ago. And he was like, who are you?
My good God.
But for me, that's still I met DJ EZ, man. Like, I can't believe it. But yeah, I met loads of cool people. Met Disclosure a couple of times. So, that scene, I did well for myself. I met some really cool people.
So how do you go from so you're DJing, you're producing, and now you rap and you sing? How did that transition come about?
I think I'd always sung anyway. So like, me and my brother were in a group. We had been doing a lot of folk music because that was something that brought us together. We loved sort of like acoustic.
So is this Charlie or another brother?
No, sorry, it's Charlie. So like, yeah, me and Charlie we were in a group. We were singing together. Like, he has got the most beautiful voice. But it's always the joke that like, he's a good guitarist, but he's got no rhythm when he plays. I love you, man, but like, I'm sorry. But yeah, no. So that was the running. So I used to do his backing harmonies. We used to sing together. I used to play guitar. And it was really beautiful for us to have that connection, that bond. And I think COVID was actually the biggest turning point for me. So I'd always said to myself outside of it that I'm never going to go to Ibiza unless I get booked to do a show in Ibiza. That's my goal. That's my my mountain that I want to climb.
That's it. That's the Mount Everest right there.
Yeah, that's the Everest. I want to get to Ibiza. I want to do shows. And for me, I always said, like, once I get to that point, I'm cool if I stop. Like, I'm happy if
I'm good.
I'll leave at the top of the mountain. I'll walk back down, enjoy myself. I don't need to go.
Wave to the people.
Yeah, exactly. I'll do my victory lap. And I'd got booked March 2020, the start of March, to go and play in Ibiza.
And our good friend, COVID, came around.
So I'd lost all the money that I'd paid to go out there and, you know, the hotels. Because it wasn't just one show. It was a residency. So I was supposed to be out there for 8 weeks, 9 weeks. You know, playing in these clubs like every 2 days or something like that. So that was going to be my moment. COVID happened and I was kind of, you know, I was bored. I was a bit disheartened because obviously that didn't happen. And I sort of fell back in love with making music because I had time, basically. I was just bored. I thought, what else can I do? There's only so many times you can go for a run. There's only so many times you can,
it's funny enough, I used to run twice a day.
Yeah.
I mean, the first 8 months of COVID, I tried to keep the routine. Yeah. I wake up in the morning, go for a run. At the same time, I was working remotely, do work. In the evening, do a workout, do another run.
Yeah.
And for some reason, so in the UK, that COVID period the weather was amazing.
I know. It was the best weather, man. It was unreal.
Was summer all through.
Yeah.
I remember, and I just used to be like, oh my God, this is the good Lord is trying to tell us something.
Yeah, and you know what? It's that first week when it happened.
It was the sun was beautiful.
Yeah, 28 degrees, man. I was sitting in the garden. I used to wake up, go for a run, come home, sit in the garden for 4 hours with like a nice cold drink, watching shows. And then in the evening, I was like, I'm going to dedicate like 5-6 hours to whatever it is, like playing guitar or writing music or whatever it might be. And I'd written a lot of songs. So, you know, I was doing pretty well for myself, like in terms of writing, and, you know, I'd made a lot of stuff and I thought, oh, you know, some of these are all right. Some of these will not tell anyone about. We'll throw those in the bin. And it was actually once the lockdown sort of loosened. So I'd been pushing to like, I don't want the DJing thing to stop. Like, you know, there's no real parties anymore. So I'm not really sure what the landscape's going to be. And I'd booked a couple shows and it happened 3 times in a row. And the third time I actually said, I'm going to stop. And that, I still play shows now, but I'm not DJing as much. But it's mainly because of this. So I got booked for a show. I got to the event. About 20 minutes or so before I meant to play, the promoter comes up to me and goes, I'm really sorry, mate, but we're going to have to cancel your set tonight. Oh, why? Oh, because Phil Mitchell from EastEnders has just turned up and he wants to play, so you're gone.
Whoa.
And I'm like, Phil Mitchell, like the random bald geezer from EastEnders is trying to take my set. And literally 3 times in a row, I'm not saying it was always him, but it's like...
But he was one of them.
Yeah. But it's because celebrities had massively got into DJing during lockdown.
Oh, yeah, because everybody was trying to get into something that could give them and, of course, let them out. And it is an extra pull for the promoters.
Exactly. Yeah. They're thinking, you know...
If Phil is here, he's going to pull...
He's going to bring people in.
He's going to bring people in. I mean, one of the famous DJs that is... Which to me, I think... I mean... He's good at it, from what I hear. But it's a cheat code. Idris Elba. That's a cheat code, right?
I've seen him play. Unreal. Like, there's a handful of people that I think, you know what? Fair play. You've done your thing. Idris, to me, top of that list. And you know what? The surprising one that no one believes me, and you probably don't. You might not know who he is. Have you ever heard of Gokwan?
Of course.
Yeah, Gokwan, unreal DJ. Unreal DJ.
Really?
He plays disco music.
The glasses, the fashion guy.
That's what he does. He doesn't do any fashion anymore. He's just a DJ. He's signed to like the second biggest like dance music label in the world. He's one of their headliners now. And fair play to him because his music is quality. He runs a show and he's got that classic sass that he had when he was doing the TV shows and that. So you know what?
But you would say you're better than Idris though.
Yeah, but I'm not as good looking as Idris, so I'm never gonna win that battle.
We can walk it. We can walk it out, man. We can walk it out. I tell you, Idris, if you ever listen to this, man, it's a challenge.
Come on, bro, let's go.
Nathan and you,
back to back.
Let's do it. Let's do it.
If I ever meet him, he'll bring this up. I'm hoping he does anyway. No.
Oh, hey guys, sorry to interrupt your episode. I hope you can please subscribe, hit that notification button so we can get more on wonderful, incredible guests and you can continue to listen to the Korak Podcast. Till then, more thanks. Go back to the episode.
But then would you say for a man that you've had like your resilience has always been there. You've always been somebody that's pushed and fought for what you want. 3 times enough to put you off?
Honestly, because it wasn't just me. It was the landscape anyway of the clubbing scene. It was what I'd seen in the industry. I got a close group knit of friends that all DJ as well. Like they had the same experiences, or because of COVID, they were getting shows locked down and everything. So it was really like it was a hard period for a lot of them. And actually, like I used to be in a group with these boys that was like 20 of us, all DJs. Out of all of us, 3 of them are still doing it as a career, full time. The other 17 of us, like I do it now. I still get lots of gig offers, but I'm super selective. So, like someone I was saying to you earlier, like I'm so selective with where I want to play, the right atmosphere, the right crowd, the right environment, because I do DJing now for the love of it. I do it because it's something that I'm still obsessed by, and I still love the craft of it. I love, the music behind it. But I don't need to be in a situation, or I don't want to put myself in a situation where, oh, come on, mate, can you just play the top 40 or whatever, or play this style of music? Oh, they want ABBA or whatever for the end of the night. No, mate, I'm not doing that to myself. So, yeah, now I play shows where they go, we like what you play your style of music.
Do your thing.
Yeah, do your thing. And I think that's hard. So,
I feel like you're very, I want to use the term old school in your approach to the way that you do things, because I feel like a lot of people, a lot of creatives, they kind of just decide that we're just going to move with the times. So, for example, like you said, if Phil Mitchell jumps in, you're thinking, how can I also make money off of that, or how can I try and do something that will keep me money flowing in? But I feel like your love for the craft is almost old school in terms of you don't want to change the way that you do it. I'm not trying to go with the times. I'm just trying to do what I love because I love it. What motivates you to stay like that?
That's a quality question. First of all, that's a well good question. You know what? I think it's other aspects of life. So like, even if you look at stuff like fashion, now everyone's knocking the skinny jeans and, you have to wear the super baggy and like everyone's into the dad trainers and that. In 5 years' time, people are going to be rocking skinny jeans again. You're going to be, everything swings and roundabouts. Like even the one thing I will say, a lot of old vinyl heads will say, oh, like vinyl's the only way. If you don't mix on vinyl, then you're not doing it properly. But there's the beauty. Technology is beautiful. Like it's given us so much. But also in the same vein, now you look at all these events that are starting to blow up again in London. They're all vinyl based. It's come and play your favorite tracks, and I think I love it too much to ruin what I love by doing it the wrong way. Because also at the end of the day, it's who I am. So I'm not gonna do things just for the sake of doing it. There's certain things you have to do. Like I'm not oblivious to, if you want to make it in a music thing, you've got to do the short form content. You've got to do, the TikToks and stuff like that. But at the end of the day, I'm an old head anyway. So I always have been. My mum will say, even from 7 years old, it's like, you've got an old soul of a 60-year-old. I don't know what it is. So, and I stand by that. I don't think there's any need to push what I love to change it into something that.
I mean, I agree with you in the sense, but I think, and of course, BK can correct me, if what BK is trying to understand here is, with the way things move, we all have to adapt and push towards stuff. I mean, BK, it's, world-class production, videography, everything. And he comes up to a set all ready to go, camera, 4K, everything good to go. And I know we have the conversation where you have people that have mobile phones and they call themselves videographers. Now, he wouldn't trade himself and go, I'm a videographer. I'm sure he can videograph with his phone and still be good quality. But when you're going to give the work, you're going to go with everything that you have. But then the thing for him, he's not going to say, "Oh, there are too many mobile phone videographers, so I'm going to quit." But you're like, man, these guys are taking the piss, so I'm going to quit. He's not going to quit. You're going to keep pushing. So what I'm trying to understand is, you're an old head. You stick to your trade. You want stuff to happen.
Yeah.
But why quit though?
I wouldn't say I think it wasn't. I think quitting is probably a strong term. I didn't think I quit. I think I took
You're massively selective to the point that it has reduced the amount of gigs you have done. I mean, that's long words, but yeah.
No, but and like I totally get that. Like gigs are super important as a DJ. That's what you need to do to be a DJ. I just think that the same way that you would show up fully prepared for a show or like a filming session, I don't want to show up to a set where everyone there is using sync, everyone is using a technology to DJ for them. I've done festivals where the festivals will actually say to us, you're not allowed to mix live. You have to pre-record your set, which is, sorry to break some bubbles for people, but that is honestly, there's half of the most famous festivals in the world all have pre-recorded sets. So the reason that there's the whole running joke of you see DJs and they're just standing there with their hands in the air, is because they don't actually need to do anything. So I love the craft too much to loosen what I'm doing in order to fit in with it. But also the good thing is, because I've got so many hats in music and I love producing and I love writing and rapping and whatever it might be, that I thought, you know what, I need to leave this for a bit and go do something else. I've still got that love for it, but I love other things about music as well. So it didn't feel like I was quitting. It felt like I thought I just need to put my energy into something else. So once I stopped DJing, I fell in love again with producing, and like that for me was massive. And I just wanted to make as many different beats as I can, and really dive into like, because up to that point I was only doing like drums and stuff on the background of songs. So it was nice for me to be like, what's my stamp in music? Besides, like, as much as I love DJing and there's such a skill set in itself, like what can I provide to the world that isn't already there? And I felt like making my own music and production was a way to do that I didn't have in DJing. And also I'd found the skill sets from DJing that I thought, I could take that over to this, and like I know how I need to work for it now, and I know how to graft to get where I want to get to.
Well, Phil Mitchell, thanks for
appreciate it, mate.
for doing that situation. So you decided to keep that on the back burner for some time, and then you started rapping and singing, and so you started. Was that difficult breaking into that scene as a musician, because people knew you as a DJ? Yeah. So when you were like, oh no, I'm gonna rap and stuff, was there a bit of people going, ooh, how's this gonna work?
I think the singing stuff, I think people kind of knew that I might do that properly one day, because I'd done it beforehand. I think rapping to people it was a shocking moment. Like, funny enough, the way that I got into rapping was because of DJing in the first instance, because I used to do shows where I'd have MCs get hired and they wouldn't turn up. So the running joke was, oh, don't worry guys, I'll MC for you. And I would just do a quick little 2-3 minute freestyle. And like people would laugh, and like I quite enjoyed it. So I was like, oh, maybe I'll just mess around with it. So, I had a few mates where we would sort of do the whole standing around freestyling over a beat sort of thing. And when I'd said to them like, oh, I actually think I'm going to do this properly, I think I've got something I want to talk about, or like, I've got a story to put out there, and people were like, that's not what rapping is, man, it's about the flow and all that. So I think that was a more shocking moment, that people were like, what, you're doing rap now? Like, I thought you'd done the singing folk stuff, but rap's been something that I've always loved, and like I love the storytelling element of it. So like my favorite artists now are storytellers, whether it be the old heads or whether it be the new guys that are coming through now. Like I love.
Give us a few names. Who are the old heads?
Man, old school people. I loved Wu-Tang Clan. Loved them, man. Method Man is unreal. Like
I remember when we were younger, we used to argue who was better, Method or Red.
Oh, I've got to say Method, man. I've got to say Method.
A lot of people usually used to go. I felt Red is, as they say, cold as anything. But I used to sit in between. I just like, but those two guys, man. Most people I know, they always went with Method.
I think Redman had a better lyricism to him, but Method Man's cadence and the way he comes up with stuff is just like, how does that come into your brain, man? I can't even compute it. So
it's like with the rap. One of my very close friends, he loves Common, he loves Talib.
Yeah.
He calls, the original guys. I'll ask you this though, Tupac or Biggie?
Man. And this is the easiest thing, Tupac, all day. All day.
Easiest.
A
lot of people will argue that Biggie was more lyrical.
Yeah,
lyrical
and he
flow,
was.
Lyrical flow, everything.
And it was unreal. Like, don't get me wrong, Biggie's amazing in his own right. But if that's the comparison, it's not even close. Tupac's, because the thing is, what I like to look at as well is I love cadence and I love watching how people design their voice when they're rapping. So the reason that Tupac was so popular, because a lot of his earlier stuff was all about, like segregation and racism in America. And if you actually listen to it, the way he raps is very similar to how Malcolm X, Martin Luther King speak.
Mm-hmm.
I had a dream, and now I knew. There's that sort of cadence, and like people connected with that. But you mix that in with what he was talking about, the topics that he was talking about, unreal. Like, to combine the two of them and to get the love that he got, and it was just unbelievable, man. Like,
so with everything you do now, DJing, producing, singing, rapping, if you had to stick to one, which one? What would that be?
You know what?
Gun to your head, pick one, and that's it, and you can't do the rest again.
I think I have to go with DJing, purely because I think I've got the most experience in it. I've been doing it for the longest amount of time, and I would get to wear as many musical hats as I want. But for my own mental health, I have to be singing and rapping. Because
why is that? What exactly about your mental health do you think you need to sing and rap? Is that your way of expression?
100%. And like, it's how, we live in a society now where, like, I'm glad that like we're talking about men regulating their emotions, and it's all about how can we be men but also be vulnerable and sensitive, whatever it might be. Like, writing for me was massive. Like, I'd gone through some really bad trauma. I'd gone through stuff that like I couldn't really get past, and I didn't know what to do.
Is this to do with the drop in university and all the things that you went through, or there's something else?
No, so I actually lost 2 kids.
Whoa.
So like, and it's something that like at the time I wouldn't have spoke about, but now I'm very like, I need to speak about it. It helps me get past it. It helps me remember them, helps me embrace them. So, I lost these kids. That was an awful time in my life. I didn't know what to do with myself. I thought, this is it. This is completely different to whatever I want to do. So I didn't know how to get past it. And I'd actually written a song called Southern Rail. And I'd written it because, one of my friends had said to me, like, oh, have you tried writing or journaling or something that sometimes it makes me feel better? And I thought, well, I don't know how to do that, but I could probably write a song or a rap or whatever it might be. So I'd written that. And then the feeling that I got when I'd written and produced that song, after it was done, I was just like, I feel so much better. But I was still holding on to it. So I'd got to a point then where I'd made my album, and I'd spoken about a lot of other things on the album, about, the problem I have with diversity in the country, the way we're treated, like how I dealt with other loss. But I hadn't put Southern Rail on that, and I hadn't released it as a single either. And I actually sat down with a close friend of mine, and we were talking about, because he is from Algeria, and he had a similar story to me of, he'd moved a lot for his dad's work, so we both ended up in the UK together. So we have very similar stories. So it was nice that we could meet up again, because he doesn't live here anymore, so it was nice that we could reconnect. And I showed him the song, and he was like, you have to put this in the album, because the longer you hold on to this, the worse it's going to be. There's a sense of when we let stuff go, we're not letting it go for other people, we're letting it go for ourselves. And I'd put the song on the album, and even when you're listening to it, it doesn't sound like it really fits with the rest of the music that's on there. But I thought I had to do it. And, after I'd done that and the album was released, I had lots of people coming up to me talking about, whoa, man, I didn't know you went through that. What, you went through that on your own? Like,
I mean, that was one of the So I'm allowed to like.
Yeah,
ask.
of course, man. Talk about.
So when you say you lost 2 kids, at what age, or was this?
So they weren't born yet, but one was a miscarriage at like 6 months, and then the other one she ended up having a stillbirth. But
Really sorry to hear that.
no, I appreciate. And the thing is as well, like it's crazy because I actually went to like trauma groups afterwards, and we were speaking about it, and I'm listening to all these people, and they're like, "Yeah, man, my kid was 5, and got whatever it was, some illness, and then passed away," and I almost felt guilty. I was sitting in those rooms being like, I can't believe I'm gonna be here talking about kids that I've never even really met. But it still had an effect on me. Even the same way of, it didn't even really happen to me. Happened to her. And yeah, like it was hard to get past it. But, like we were in a room, I had to watch it happen, that was.
How's the relationship with her now?
We don't talk anymore. Before I put it on the album, I actually reached out to her. We hadn't spoken in about 4 years. Like, we tried to carry on afterwards, but, like, a relationship just couldn't recover after that. And now I think about it, we weren't right for each other. But she's moved on now. She got told after that she wouldn't be able to have children. And I found out, like, 2 years ago, she's got kids now. And, like, with a new man and all that. And, like, all my friends were like, "Oh, you're not mad about that?" I'm like, "No, man, I'm so happy for her. That's beautiful." She's got to have a family. She got told, "Oh, you're never gonna have a family," and now she's in a position where she's got 2 children. And I'm so happy for her, man. That's beautiful. That's exactly what I would want to have happened. For the sake of it, like I said, I speak about you in podcasts, or I speak about you on blogs and like on songs and stuff. Is that all right? And she says, as long as you don't use my name and no one knows it's me, then that's fine. So, we're cool, but she doesn't really want to talk to me anymore, which is fine. We've moved on with our life.
You want kids? You still want kids?
Yeah, I think so. I think I have for a while after it happened. Like anytime, it was actually funny. Like my one of my other siblings was had told me the day that I went to go tell my family, "Oh, by the way, this has happened." He said, "Oh, guess what, guys? Me and my wife are having a kid." Oof. And I thought, I can't say anything. But basically, they would have been born like 2-3 days apart. So I just was like, oh, man, this is crazy. Like, to think that now when I look at my nephew, I'm like, man, you would have been the same age, would have been very similar. But now I'm at a point where I'm like, yeah, man, I definitely want kids one day. But things happen how they need to happen in life. And that's all right. It's part of the journey. So...
my condolences again.
No, I appreciate it, man. But
makes you a stronger man.
Yeah, man. Definitely.
We like to lyrical deep dive into the music that you do and trying to understand from your perspective the message that you're trying to give out there. So, as we do the research and stalking, as they say.
Do it.
So, forgive me if I get the words wrong, because sometimes my eardrum. So we're going to talk about Times Right.
Yeah.
So the way this works is that, when you listen to your catalog, so I've picked out 2 of my best songs that I like, and Times Right and Believe. So Time Right, it goes, listen 'cause the time's right. We get down 'cause we are living in the limelight, where the world is spinning grey and you're grinding every day. Just be happy that your mind's right. Listen 'cause the time's right. We get down because we don't need a little sunlight. Whether you're walking to the park or you're drinking after dark, just be happy for tonight's right. So, obviously, you're talking about being grateful for whatever situation that you're in. But we do need some more sunlight, definitely. Don't you think so?
Yeah, definitely, man.
But you go here and say, we get down because we don't need a little sunlight.
Yeah. So, we as humans get depressed because we can't see outside of our window of perception. So, like
a tunnel perspective.
Yeah. So it's so easy to be super focused on something. And I'm definitely one of those people, like when I've got my head stuck on something, that's it. I can't see anything else. So you're not seeing the sunlight when you're looking through that vision. And sometimes we don't need it, but sometimes we do need it. So it's the juxtaposition of actually, do we need that sunlight, or is it when I'm saying sunlight, I mean a vision of the world. So, you know, like sometimes when you need to be hyper focused and like tunnel in on something, you don't need that sunlight because it's just distracting you. But then sometimes you need to get out of that box and realize, man, everything's all right, man. We need to just enjoy the world a little bit more.
So I mean, one of my favorite parts is when it goes, take a second, breathe it in, and don't get lost in all the sin. Whether you take the loss, but for now, just enjoy the win. If you are feeling lost or you're feeling kind of down, every king or queen will one day find the crown. That's a T-shirt moment, bro. T-shirt moment. I swear, I want to wear that shirt. People are like, is this from you? Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wrote it. Yeah. Not a guy called N8 Radderz. Me. Yeah, no, I wrote it.
That's fine, man. You can take that. I'll rock the T-shirt as well, man. I'm definitely.
I like as it sounds. So, what's the major message? Obviously, be grateful. If you're feeling lost or you're feeling down, kind of down, every king. So you're pretty much telling everybody that there's a day that will come for you at some point. You truly believe that.
I believe it, and it's actually from like Loyal Kana, who's obviously massive now in the music industry. He actually does a lot of talks at Cambridge and Oxford about, you know, writing English and like literature and all sorts of stuff like that. And it's actually, that line had come from something he'd said, where it is that we as musicians need to prepare ourselves for when the light shines on us, but no light shines on us forever. It's sort of like a rotating ball. So, you know, if it's on you at that moment, amazing, enjoy it, enjoy that win, but it will leave and it will come back around. How many musicians have we thought, oh yeah, do you remember back then they were so crazy, man? They were a brilliant musician, and you don't see him again. And then some artists, it spins back around and they get that limelight again. And I truly believe like things are always going to happen, and they happen how, like I'm a strong believer of like, I don't really know if I'm, you know, that religious anymore. I don't know how I feel about higher beings, but I do really believe in like things happen for a reason. Things will happen how they're meant to happen. And everyone will have that moment in life. And if it doesn't happen for you, then it wasn't meant to happen for you for a different reason. And that's the beauty of it. Because I think we all get sucked into, you know, the destination of this is where I need to get to, rather than, no man, let's just enjoy
enjoy the journey.
Enjoy the journey, because at the end of it,
Korak, people, Korak.
Yeah, exactly. And like, it's like anything. Like, if I asked you about your life, what would you tell me about? You would tell me about the stories that's happened or the memories you've had. But that's not the destination. That's the journey. That's the journey. And I think we get lost in that of, so now like every time I come out the studio, I'm thankful and I think, man, I made a song today. That was cool. Or I tried to make a song today. It didn't happen. That's fine. But I'm just enjoying it. And that's a beautiful thing, man. And there's something that comes with that need to just enjoy every little second of life. Like I'm a massive pessimist. Like I believe, like I've learned that about myself. I am a pessimistic man, but that's part of my training to not be pessimistic. Is how can I look at things optimistically, and like what's happened today that I can enjoy. Man, we got to sit down with you guys. That's the highlight of my day. You know what I mean? And cheers to that, man. Exactly.
Hope you heard that feel.
Yeah. So like, you know, regardless of whatever the tubes were on strike or what, yeah, that's fine, man, because I get to enjoy a nice conversation. You know, I like it. That's beautiful. So
I like it. Well, that's a classic song. And then there is Believe. Now, what I did is take like a few parts where it goes, I was the son of a king, but he nearly died. And I am so sick of being angry here all the time. I'm just outside, so why is that really such a crime? But you got to keep moving, only if it's such in a line. Break that down for me.
So 3 years ago, my dad got diagnosed with throat cancer.
Sorry to hear that, bro.
No, you know what? He's in remission now. He's all healthy. And I'm thankful every day that he's like that. So, and I think for him, he needed that. He was working himself into a hole. And like, that sort of made him step back and go, yeah, man, I need to enjoy life a bit more. And like, so now like, you know, he's always dedicated. Like, I need to see my kids all the time. I want to spend time with my grandchildren. Like, that's beautiful for him to get to see that. So I'll put that in there for him. And then I think when that had happened, I was sort of crossed between a weird line. So like, we just found out that my dad had been diagnosed with throat cancer. My nan had passed away, who was a massive part for me of like my integration back into the UK. So that belief was about her. So, you know, when I come back to England, we'd had lots of discussions of, you know, like I'm going into school and they're treating me like I'm a foreigner, but like I'm British. Why are they acting like this?
Mm-hmm.
And she was, you know, she was massive for me to be like, oh no, like you're just different to them. Like, don't be sad about it. Embrace it. Like, people kill every day to wish they were slightly different from everyone else. It's only when you're at school is the only time really in your life you're like, I wish I was like everybody. But as soon as you leave school, everyone's doing whatever they can to be different. So yeah, like she helped me massively, man. And yeah, that was sort of just more about how I can navigate sort of my own feelings. And like, I don't know, it's a hard one to explain because I like being brought into England and being mixed race is like, being mixed race in general is quite a hard topic to discuss with people, mainly because they don't want to talk about it, especially in Britain. But you know, like I'm white and I'm black and I'm Asian and I'm everything. So, but I don't fit into really any of those boxes because, you know, I'm white while the white people want me to be white. Like I can be black when the black people want me to be, and it's like I can be in different fields and it shouldn't even matter, but it really did. And I was getting stopped and searched all the time, and like, you know, like there was a time when I was youth working where I'd taken kids on this field trip, and like the whole bus got stopped. We're all getting stopped and searched, and like I'm just thinking like, why are we all being treated like this? And she was the one. We used to have in-depth conversations for hours about it, and you know, she was like this tiny little, you know, white woman, man from South London, just being really sweet, and like, it was nice that I could have those conversations with her. So, yeah, that was about her.
Yeah, so sometimes I don't even know how I feel, but sometimes, yeah, it's tough to reveal. 'Cause the world is feeling ever grey. Don't want to wish tomorrow levels up to expectations they had yesterday.
Yeah. So, like, obviously we live in a society where, like, especially now, I feel like this is the biggest, like, generational fight that's going on at the moment, you know.
Everybody's fighting everybody. Men, women,
Yeah.
everybody's fighting everybody.
But
we all need each other, people. We all
Yeah,
need
exactly. And like, you know, you've got the people that something that we've been looking at a lot at the moment is like, you know, the fact that young people may not ever own a house. That's a massive topic of conversation in the UK. And when you talk to the older lot that have got their own houses and maybe even little second house and stuff like that, they're all like, well, I bought a house. You lot don't want to work hard for it and save up for it. And the young people are like, well, there's no way I'm ever going to be able to afford it. It was easy for you. And then when they dive into it and they go, well, how much did you pay for your deposit in your house? And they're like, oh, it's, you know, $2,000. And now we're asking the young lot and they're like, oh, I need 30 grand. So it's very different. So, you know, that expectation of this is how we lived. Why can't you meet that expectation? So yeah, that was a big thing for me to be like, how can we connect the generations? And obviously, because I'm talking about my nan in this, like, she helped me connect that generation of like, oh no, she wanted to listen to like, oh, what's it happening in young people's perspective, and vice versa. I was listening to like how things were for her. So yeah, it's very more about like integrating. So
well, amazing. I like the messaging in your music. I like that you're trying to push it out there and trying to, you know, talk about things that are happening, which is a substance that we don't actually get. But this is the time that BK himself will ask you his question. So
cool.
Okay. First of all, I just want to say your story is absolutely incredible. I think it's amazing to hear someone's story who's just so organic with the way that with their artistry. I think more now than ever with social media and different things like that, it's so easy to, again, just get swept away with the way that everybody's doing things and feel like that's the way to do things. So then My question to you, and it's a very similar question to what I ask a lot of people, but I'm more intrigued just because of the way that you speak, is what does success look like for you in music? I don't think you've spoken about money once this whole podcast, and that's amazing to hear. On two sides, it's amazing to hear because you can just tell that there's someone here that really just loves what they do, but then at the same time, like you said, we're adults, like we have bills to pay, we have things to do. So what does success in music, in just your creative sector look like for you?
It's going to sound really cheesy, but freedom. Creative freedom, which is, I feel like, the hardest thing to obtain at the moment. Like, we live in a generation, obviously, like, where people are, what works? What can we copy that works? But, like, some of my favorite artists are, like, really weird artists. So, like, I don't know if you lot remember Labyrinth.
Mm-hmm.
I love Labyrinth purely because that man can do whatever he wants. People don't know now, he writes metal songs. Like, what? How'd you go from being like some pop rapping sensation producer and now you're making metal? Like, I always say as well, like, the fact that now, like, I'm not signed to anyone, I can make whatever style of music I want. And when people say, well, you're not really like fitting any, yeah, good. This is the one time that as a musician where I don't need to, I can just make whatever I want. I think success in itself is, if I can be free to make what I want to make, brilliant. Because I don't know where my mind's going to go. I don't know where my creativity is going to go. I want to give back. Like, I've worked with kids all my whole life. I still do it now. I want to continue to do that because I think it's a massive... I think as men, it's our responsibility to give back to children in whatever aspect we can. And coach them. And, like, people get distracted of, like, oh, well, you know, I'm not the greatest guy. Like, I don't have anything to give these kids. Kids don't have to learn from good messages. You know what I mean? Sometimes we look at people that have got the worst parents in the world. We go, I don't want to be anything like that. That's a lesson in itself. In terms of, like, really any other success, like, money comes and goes, man. It doesn't really matter. As long as I can pay my bills, I got, you know, food, I've got shoes on my feet, I'm happy, man. Like, I'm in a quite blessed situation where it's not like I got to fight for, like, oh, I need to make sure my mum and dad are set. They're set. I ain't got to worry about them. You know what I mean? They're living their life. Like, this is for me. So, you know, like, my other siblings do really well for themselves. Like, my sister in her own right is really successful, and I'm so happy for her. But even now, people will say to me, like, oh, your sister's, like, 23, and she's earning, like, 4 times as much as you. Is that not embarrassing? Not at all. Not at all. That's great. I'm so proud of her. Like, I'm at a different aspect to my journey. And hopefully one day she'll look back and go, oh, I'm proud of you for, like, sticking with stuff and, like, not letting the money aspect of it getting down. Like, it doesn't matter. Happiness is everything. Freedom is everything. Expression is everything. So I just want to keep with that as my mantra and don't move outside of that.
Amazing.
There you go, people. That's a lesson. And you're right. When you said it, he hasn't actually mentioned money at all this entire episode. Man, I applaud you for that. It is hopefully the creative freedom, as you mentioned, will give you the means to put your stuff out there and, of course, let people understand your message. Well,
I would like to say one thing, though. I'm not adverse to money. Yeah? If anyone wants to give me some, I'm down for it. You know, I'll work for it. I'll put that out there now. Like, I don't want people to be like, oh, he's going to promote me for free.
I was just about to give him $1 million, but no, let's not. Well, it's been amazing, man. Your story has been wonderful. Thank you for sharing. And, you know, the things that have been very traumatic are things that have let you down. But thank you for sharing that and putting it on Korak.
No, I appreciate it.
Your journey has been wonderful. And you will tell it through your music on the 26th of June.
So excited, man.
There you go. Before we do finish, in terms of how are you Afrobeats and Amapiano? The reason I ask is Amapiano is bringing back that importance and value to the DJ. Because in the South African scene, you always hear DJ this and this person. Mm-hmm. So the DJs, and when you go for Amapiano gigs, it is the DJs everybody are there to see. Do you think that can happen? And I think that happens in the Amapiano world, and that happens in, I would say, the techno. So like pretty much everything they play in Ibiza, right? Where the DJ is the focus. So you have like Black Coffee and all those kind of guys. Why can't that happen for like R&B, hip hop, and all that? It used to, like back in the day, but now it is.
It's funny you say that because I actually had the same discussion with someone.
No, really, okay.
So I think when we think about DJing in any other form, we think about you're going there to listen to someone you know and trust has good music taste.
Mm-hmm.
When it comes to hip hop, R&B, that sort of field, we are so based off of like nostalgia or vibe, but all of that is cut 30 seconds. It's like a golden rule of DJing. It's like if you're doing an R&B or hip hop gig, you play the first verse and the chorus, done, move on to the next one. So like if I'm DJing like house music, for example, and I'm doing an hour-long set, I probably only need like 20 songs because people are coming for that vibe and the experience. When you're playing hip-hop and rap, you need 100 songs, and they all need to be bangers because that's all people care about. I think as fans, like, we need to get back into, like, enjoying the whole process of a song.
It's interesting that you say that because now that you mention it, a lot of songs in the R&B hip-hop scene, first of all, the tempo goes up. And then once the first verse goes, second verse, at some point you're dancing and you're thinking, what's coming next?
Exactly.
You're on that look of what's coming next. And I think now it's even worse because when you think about, like, when you look at all the DJ mix and everything, it is, the transitioning is like from chorus to verse to another song. So you feel if we get into the habit of letting it play out, like, because Amapiano, you could drive to Birmingham and come back and the thing is still in the first verse.
Yeah, and that's beautiful though. But you get sucked into that. But I don't see. I think part of it is how we take in. So like obviously we spoke about short form content. Like we're built on that. Like I need 10 seconds to prove myself to people. But like even now when an album drops and people are like, oh yeah, can't wait, man, and then they go listen to the first 5 seconds of each song and go, oh, that was okay, we'll listen to that one. Or, oh, that's got a feature with, Cardi B, I'm going to listen to that track. But you don't listen to it. And it's only then after like 10 times of listening into it, you're like, oh, this random other little one, I'll listen to that now. But like, it's like a book, man. You should take it in the order they've done it. You should take it in like the way that they want to hear it and listen to all of it.
I think it's also, it's so interesting because I was having this conversation with my girlfriend the other day. We're in the car and she was playing like a garage playlist. And listening to the music, I was like, this is why we needed DJs, because some of those songs were long. Yeah. And like, you want to listen to like like you said, the best parts was probably like a minute of that song. Whereas now, the way that people make music, you're thinking, I need a hook that's catchy so that it will blow on social media. So that song, you might only want to play like 20 seconds of that song, whereas a garage song, Amapiano, I think that's why, it's because it's got that nostalgia of that song can be like 6 minutes long. And then you cut it, like when a good DJ can cut it into another song and another song. Like even for me as a videographer, when I do music videos now, most people, their songs are about 2 minutes long. And I remember this girl came to me with a 4-minute song and I was like, whoa, 4 minutes, like I haven't seen that in so long. And
it's shocking though, that like, because even now, like, I produce beats for people, and like, if I've made a beat, I'll alter it slightly for people. If they're like, oh, I want to add an extra little hook in here, or I want to take a hook out here, or whatever it might be, I'll do that. But the most asked question is, have you got any tracks? I only really want like 2 minutes long. Everyone asks me that because they almost don't want to invest that much time into it. And it's more about a numbers game. Like if I can make one song that's 6 minutes, or I can make 3 songs that are 2 minutes, and I've got 3 times as many chances for it to blow. But like that 6 minute song could be the best thing you've ever written. So even like when I was recording my album, I went to my engineer and I said, oh man, like this is one of the tracks I've got. It's 6 minutes long, or 5.5 minutes. And he went, are you joking me, man? 5.5 minutes? I ain't got time for this. Like what? We're gonna be in here for 7 hours, man. What's going on? And like after we had finished recording it, he went, I'm so glad you did that, man. Like, yeah, I really enjoyed that. That was actually a good song.
Somebody said to me, because when they're 2 minutes, it's like a teaser. So when people listen to it and the song finishes, they play it again. And now that we're in the streaming world of you want your songs played over and over again. Because sometimes before you get into the song, it's over. And you're thinking, hold on, and you play it again. But it's a good perspective. I like it.
But also, it's a monetary thing of remixing. So you'll see like a lot of people, they'll wait, and then if that 2-minute song blows up, then they go, cool, remix with this person and like a extended version, and they put loads more money behind it because they don't want to waste money unnecessarily. But then it takes away the artistry. Like, you're doing it to make money. You're not doing it to, like, if there's such a good idea, stick with that idea. Let it ride out. Because how many times, there's loads of songs that I could listen to, like, non-stop, and like it could just be on a loop, and you know I'm happy with it.
I like it though, because normally when I like a song, I kill it. I like proper bury it, play it all the time. And with the different genres, you like growing up with like high life and stuff. Those high life songs, some of them were 12 minutes.
Yeah.
And you're like listening to it bopping. Well, ladies and gentlemen, N8 Radderz.
Appreciate it. Thank you, guys.
Of all good, man. Well, we will continue to follow your journey. Thank you for being on the Korak, and we'll see you on the 26th. And everybody, please buy your tickets and come and see this amazing man tell his story. So it's goodbye from Nathan, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Of
Big
course,
thank you.
Goodbye from BK himself.
I'll see you guys in the next one.
And I will end it with the words of N8 Radderz, and hopefully these words will go on a t-shirt someday. If you're feeling lost or you're feeling kind of down, every king or queen will one day find the crown. I'm MC Sabi Boy. More Tains.